All right, well, I'm going to open up the meeting for the March 10th meeting of the Wakefield Conservation Commission. I know one member will be late. He's on his way home for the meeting. And so we'll start off with roll call. Ken?
Here.
Silvana?
Here.
Frank?
Present.
Jim will be late. I don't see Teresa yet or Peter yet, but we'll start. We do have a quorum. All right, first up is approve the minutes from 2/24. Actually, yes, Peter. Hey, Peter.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
No problem. All right, so first up is the approval of the minutes from February 24th. Any corrections or comments? And if not, would somebody like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Ken,
Yes.
Silvana,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Frank.
I'll abstain because I was not present.
Okay, I will approve the minutes also. All right, next up,
Is Teresa here yet? The train was late. She's on it, so she's gonna be coming on if she's not on already.
yeah, no, she's not here yet. And Jimmy will be probably about 10 more minutes before he gets home also. All right, first up is 7 to 11 Audubon Road, IRG Wakefield Limited Partnership, public hearing. Notice of intent for proposed property improvements, including realigning utilities, installing a loading dock, constructing a paver driveway within a riverfront area and within 5 feet of BVW. We don't have a file number yet. Is the applicant here?
Yes,
Okay,
my name is Peter Ogren and I'm with Hayes Engineering and I represent the applicant. Is Doug Avola on? I don't see his name here.
He's having issues with his computer trying to get on. It's he's saying it won't load. Not sure what the issue is.
Okay,
Is there a way he can call in?
he
Yeah,
can
there's
use the
column-
link. Sorry, he can use the link right off the website.
It's not always intuitive, how to get those invitations to work. Took me 3
Yeah,
times.
He actually sent me the link, so I was able to get on. I don't know if he's just having
All I know is when I get the invitation, it has 2 red things, 2 things that you can click on. One of them doesn't get it on and the one that's at the very top does. It's just not intuitive. That's all I'm saying. So if he's got,
if you just give us a couple minutes, I'm gonna try to text him, see if he can try to call on.
do you have the call-in number, Reno?
Just bear with me 1 second. Let me just double check. I do not. I just have the web, the Zoom address. Is there a call-in number?
Yeah, I think it's 1301
1 second.
715
1301
715 8592, I think.
8592.
Yeah, and then he needs the meeting number and the passcode, I think,
Okay.
to dial in.
And is that readily available?
That should be in your link.
Okay.
I can give it to you. The meeting ID is 814.
1 second, please.
Yes.
814.
68
Excuse me.
268
Thank you. Yep.
53
Yep.
360.
Yep.
And then the passcode is 940040.
Okay, so the phone number is 1301 715 8592. 814-268-5330-60 is the passcode.
No, that's the meeting ID.
Oh, meeting ID, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And the
And then-
passcode is
Go
940040.
Correct.
I'm seeing a different meeting ID and passcode on the agenda.
So am I. I used the meeting
I
and
don't know.
pass-
I'm looking right at the meeting ID here, so I don't know. 3-1. Hold on, let me see.
I've got 883-1712.
Oh, I apologize. I apologize. Yes, that was the latest one. I apologize.
Oh,
Okay,
oh,
so
no.
I apologize. I looked at the ones that we sent today. My apologies.
So it's 883.
Yeah.
1712.
Sorry.
0945. And
okay,
the passcode
Yeah.
is 631761.
631761.
That's correct.
You guys see my screen? This is the
Yeah.
invitation.
Yeah.
Way too many numbers to be repeating back and forth.
Sorry, my bad.
AOL mail.
Don't make fun of me for that.
I didn't know it was still a thing.
It's when Verizon got rid of their email server, they transferred everyone to.
Yeah,
AOL.
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Just give me one, I'm just gonna give him a call if he's,
Frank,
sorry about this.
Frank, I have AOL too, so don't feel bad.
Okay.
I plead the fifth on that one.
Funny piece of trivia is that they still make millions of dollars from accounts of people who got them in the 90s who have not canceled. They're still paying a monthly fee. So AOL is still a company because of that.
Hello? He's trying to log on, just hold on, if you just can give us a couple more minutes.
Yeah, Bob, what I was saying earlier was that this is the invite from Sherry, and there's nowhere in this email that says the date of the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Which
I get a like a different invite
Oh, really?
that has the passcode in it, and she prefaces it with the meeting date,
Okay.
like in the subject.
Yeah, it's not in the subject here.
Yeah, and for me, it goes right into my Outlook calendar.
Oh, it does.
Me as well.
All right. I might have to ditch AOL pretty soon then.
Yeah. All right, Jimmy's joined us. Teresa's here. Everybody's here.
Okay. Yep, his phone number just popped up.
All right, Peter, are you going to be presenting for us?
Yes, I am. Is everybody on now?
It looks that way.
Can you put up the plan or?
Doug, are you on?
He's muted.
I have the plan on my screen if you want me to bring it up. Will that be easier?
Yeah,
Peter, I'm on.
okay, great.
Is this the correct plan?
Yeah, that's the current plan. Okay, for the record, my name is Peter Ogden and I'm with Hayes Engineering and I'm here representing IRG Wakefield Limited Partnership, as is Doug Avola, who's the vice president of that real estate company. You may recognize this site. We were here before you a few years back doing a bunch of work in the parking lots and adding a bunch of BMPs to the stormwater and so forth. And now we're here because we have a new tenant. You may remember that this building is essentially like 3 buildings in one. In fact, this aerial picture shows it well. There's a building in the front as you first enter the site off of Audubon Road, or actually the access road off of Audubon Road. And then there's a building that's kind of between 2 buildings, and then a building way out and back. And they're actually linked together. So that's why it's called, I think, 7 through 11 Audubon Road. But it's actually like 3 connected buildings. The IRG Wakefield LP has a new tenant for the back building, the one furthest from the access drive. But that particular tenant has a couple of specific needs. One of them is a new electric service, and the other is a loading dock for occasional use. The loading dock that's on the back building is already engaged by another tenant and it's in another tenant's space. So what we're looking to do is create a new electric service for this particular tenant and an access. Now, the electric service is proposed to come in, and if you look at the bottom of the screen by the wetland line, you'll see that there's can everybody see where it says pole to be removed and pole to be added? Essentially what it amounts to is there's an existing pole line along that wetland line that goes past the building. The Wakefield Electric Light Department wants to move the first pole that we show on the plan here, actually closer to the parking lot, further away from the wetland. Then they want to remove a pole that's intermediary and place a new pole near the corner of the building. The primary reason for that is to get better clearance for the wires to the building itself, and then remove an additional pole as we head in a kind of a northerly direction, and put a new pole where it says proposed utility pole right at the bottom of the screen by, I think it's flag number 14 there. From that point, we then intend to go underground to a new transformer location, which is near the building, and it's called proposed transformer in the current planting area that's there. The second item that we're asking for is to create a turf stone drive. And the reason we've asked for a turf stone drive is we realize the proximity of the drive to the wetland, but there's not much distance between the existing building and the wetland line. So what we've done is we've created a design for a turf stone drive that we can get occasional trucks into the new loading dock to be constructed. What was that? Okay, I guess that was just somebody else. The loading dock to be constructed in the building, and I need to point out that since we did this plan and filed for it, they've asked to switch the location of the transformer and the loading dock, moving the loading dock down the bay and moving the transformer up a bay. so that the loading dock will essentially move down the next window, and but the grading will stay essentially the same. As it exists now, there's an embankment adjoining the building. There's a concrete wall that you see there, concrete retaining wall, and then adjoining the building is a grade of about 105. And 105.77 actually is the shot you see right there above the WN wall. And then the ground out there is about 181.5. So that just works out perfectly if you remove the wall and dig it down for loading dock height. So the project consists of creating the turf stone drive, cutting the concrete wall, digging down, and creating loading dock height, and then putting the transformer adjoining the building. We went into quite a bit of detail in the notice of intent as to where we stand with the performance standards. The resources we have is the Saugus River. So our project is in the riverfront area. We have bordering vegetated wetlands, which are the flags that you see down at the bottom of the screen, and bordering land subject to flooding, which is a dotted line. It's maybe a little bit hard to pick out, but it's marked in several points. It's around a little over elevation 179, I believe. 179.49 is marked 100-year flood zone, AE. We won't have any fill whatsoever associated with the project. The project is going to consist of digging out the existing turf that's there, placing the turf stone pavers in accordance with the manufacturer's suggestions, properly compacting the subsoil, putting the pavers in, properly compacting them, and then revegetating the pavers after they're installed. The grading is designed to be such that it essentially just goes right on the existing area there. This current area is a grassed area, although in many cases the grass is kind of poor, in a landscape area with some employee recreational areas. So this will just go on top of that existing surface, so there won't be any fill. And the only cut will be where we remove the retaining wall from next to the building. This project is imperative for the new tenant, and that's why we've come forward with it. Doug, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add to that presentation. You were there, Doug. Did he drop off?
Uh,
Not sure.
I
Well-
don't see this.
Giacomo, it looks like he's on mute.
Oh, Doug, get off mute.
Okay, I'm just texting him, telling him. Computer is frozen.
Okay, well,
Let me put I can put my computer to speaker, and maybe I can call him, and then an old fashioned way, and he can talk through my phone, and maybe everyone can hear him. Hold on.
yeah, if he has anything to add, I mean, I think I've described what the project is and what we want to do, why we're trying to accomplish it, but I just thought he might like to say something.
Yeah. Just bear with me 1 second.
Peter, the proposed Turfstone Drive, that area currently is just a grassed area.
It's a grassed area. In some places, it's fairly good grass. I actually think we submitted a picture of it, but yeah, you can see it in this aerial photo. You can
Yep.
see that the grass is very weak as you go along the building. And then it gets better as you get into the courtyard in the back area. And we don't intend to involve any of those trees that are along there. Those are in the bank to the and largely in the wetland. It's the drive itself will go right adjacent to the building.
Right here?
Yes. And the grass is very weak as you first enter that area there. You can see it's almost dirt and very thin. And then as you get back, it improves as you get into the courtyard area.
So to put down the Turfstone Drive, what do you just basically scrape off that top surface?
Yeah,
Put
you
down
dig
that-
down. You dig down probably a foot and get rid of whatever loam is there, and put compacted permeable material, sand. Then you compact that material. Then you put the turf stone. They're actually concrete, like a grid. You put that on, compact that, and then put sand and loam in the little rectangular voids that are left, and you can either put grass seed in the loam and sand mixture, or you can cast grass seed over it afterwards, and the grass grows up through the grass pave
Right.
to the turf stone. It's designed to create an impervious surface and also to kind of look just like a lawn area. And
Yeah.
it's suitable if it's not, if there's not significant traffic, which this would be limited use for certain deliveries. Doug, you there now?
His computer is frozen.
Am I on now, Reno?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I apologize for that. For some reason, I could not get it to work on my computer. I had to basically reboot. I apologize. I did hear most of it, Peter.
Okay, well, I just didn't know if you wanted to add anything. I explained that this was a must as far as your new tenant is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the only, we'll call it loading dock, the only overhead door that we have to the building is within an existing tenant space. And the new tenant needs it specifically. They have larger equipment that they bring into the building. Seem to be on sort of like a monthly basis, and very large pieces of equipment. And there's no other way to get it into the building without creating this overhead door on that side. Obviously, the idea is to try to keep it as natural as possible. Peter came up with a great idea with the turf block. I would think that it would be appropriate. I believe the Wakefield Municipal would like to have a guardrail starting at the corner of the existing loading dock at Building 11. And that would provide, safety protection, not only to the people using the turf block roadway, if you will, or driveway, but to make sure that we don't impact the wetland area. And then as part of this project, Wakefield Municipal feels that the poles that are along this wetlands are old and are in need of replacement. So they would like to replace those poles as part of this project and move them further away from the wetlands and closer to the parking lot, which they think would be easier to service and would allow them to last longer.
So can,
The concrete cells used in the turf stone drive, they can handle the load from a loaded truck carrying heavy equipment.
Yep. Yeah, we've used these on other loading dock applications when it's not a high volume situation, and we've used them for emergency access for fire trucks, and
Okay.
and they can take the load.
is
And-
there no other place in the building to put the new overhead garage and for the new tenant to access that space rather than building a new road there so close to the river?
Unfortunately, the way the building was demised is the previous tenant had the entire floor. And at one point, they wanted to give up a portion of the floor. So they basically gave up the entire front of the building on the first floor. And that cut off any access to the parking lot. The only way to get to this section of the building would be, as we're proposing it, on the, I guess if you're looking at the building from the parking lot, the right side. The only other two sides that would access this tenant space would be the very back, opposite of the wetlands, and then the far left, which is also opposite the wetlands. And I want to say that narrows down to about 6 to 8 feet before it drops off into the wetland, so that there would never be enough space to drive around the building. This was the only way that we knew the utility company used it for their service road, because there's an existing transformer and also existing poles in the area. So we thought, in combination with bringing the electric service in, utilizing their existing pathway, upgrading their service and systems and poles, and then also providing them a better pathway to get their trucks around to service the existing transformer, while at the same time putting a new transformer and overhead door for this tenant.
How wide is the driveway at the narrowest point? Maybe at the opening, or?
I believe it's 12 feet. This is a 20 scale. And I'm quite certain it's 12 feet.
And what are you proposing for erosion and sediment controls?
During construction, it would be a hay bale line right along the, or a straw wattle along the limit of activity, which we'd have to work out with the utility company as to what they need around the poles and so forth. But it would be a solid line of erosion control there. Yeah, it's actually a little wider than 12 feet. It's like about 18 feet. If you scale it off. I've got a full-size plan here.
Is the limit of work line shown on the drawing? And where the hay bale or wattle line would be?
We don't show a limit of work line. We can add one as long as we know how much space the utility company needs around the poles.
Right.
We only need a couple of feet beyond the edge of the turf stone. But they set the poles with a truck with a big auger on it, and we'd have to see what they require. But we would put a continuous straw water line there probably. And we could have an inspection by your agents before we start work, after we get the erosion control in.
Okay.
Peter, where is the river and where is the riverfront?
The entire project is in the riverfront area. The 100-foot buffer to the river.
Well, where is the river?
The river is down. We said that the river was approximately at the wetland line. And the 100-foot buffer to the riverfront area, the 100-foot BVW buffer and riverfront area line is shown on the plan.
If it's zoomed out just a little bit, you'll see it, Jimmy.
What's that?
If the figure
That's
on the screen gets zoomed out just a little bit, you'll see where the river is.
I see the BVW line. I don't see the river.
It's just north of that on the page.
So you don't see any problems with that? That work being in such proximity to the riverfront? Or being in the riverfront?
It's in the riverfront. In terms of the standards, no, it compromises only about 1% of the riverfront area that's on the lot. And the standard there is 5,000 feet or 10%, whichever is greater. And it's all currently degraded riverfront area anyway. It's area that was, I mean, this whole area was filled. I mean, I think in the 1950s, they thought it was a good idea to fill a swamp and build an industrial park. That wouldn't happen today. So it's in an area that was already previously filled and degraded. And, we've filed it with Natural Heritage. There are rare and endangered species that are in the marsh itself, but not here. And I think it's fair to say that they're going to be okay with it. They haven't given us the final word yet, but we've been in communications with them.
I don't think you can do that work in the riverfront the way you're proposing it.
Well, why is that?
Because I don't know, it doesn't seem right. There's something wrong here.
Do we have experience? Does the commission have experience with turf stone? I've never heard of it before.
I mean, we have had previous pavers. I mean, this is more of a better solution, even further than a previous paver.
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures on the internet and I can see what I sort of see the concept. But I'm curious whether one would just whether the commission has experience or whether we could, I just like to better understand the science rather than just looking at it and said, it looks like it's going to be fine. And I also like to do a site walk and see I just want to get a handle because this is a lot of, hey, Peter, how many square feet, how many square feet of permeable, of turf stone will there be?
It's about 5,700 square feet, 5,773 actually.
Okay, so about 6 back in the a little under 6, right?
We need to be able to get the truck in, and we don't want to have to back it all away. So I had to create enough area there so that the truck can turn around and back into the loading dock and drive out. That's why we have the configuration that we have.
And can you put the pointer just to go through where it's going to start and where it's going to go to? I'm sorry, just one more time. It's going to go right along the edge of the building.
Yeah.
Can you guys see my cursor?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I see.
Plug along the building. Come into the courtyard.
And then can you move it? Keep moving the screen a little bit to the. There you go. I see. I got it. I'm sorry. So it's going to go into the courtyard, and then what's going to happen?
Loading dock will be on that wall, right where.
Yeah, you can see the wall, the concrete wall that I described is right there by the planting area that we looked at where the grade was, I think, 3 and something. It turns out if you take that concrete wall out, dig the material out of there, you end up with a loading dock height, and as Doug said, a overhead door so that you can get right into the building.
So there's no access from the parking lot side to that particular building?
No, so if you're looking sort of as we are overhead, there are two parts of the building that are 2-story. So where the cursor is now,
Right.
and then up to the sort of the, no, yep, exactly. The lobby is the gray box just to the left in between, nope, southeast, right there. So, yep, so that's the lobby that's connecting the two buildings. From that point northeast on the page is one tenant, and then from that point southeast on 2 stories would be this tenant.
Okay.
So
And the current overhead door, I think you can see it, there's a like a dumpster pad, and yep,
yeah,
that's where the current door is, and that enters that space for that dedicated tenant. And again, that tenant goes almost half to 2/3 of the way down that building.
How-
And I'm assuming you don't want to approach that tenant to allow use of that garage door, that door to access for the other tenant.
Incidentally, we actually did. That was the first approach we took, is we had a set of architectural drawings done up, taking away a portion of their space, sort of like, if you will, to simplify it, dividing it in half so that this new tenant could wrap around and have access to that shared loading dock door. And then we took that space that we took the space that we were proposing to remove from them and added it deeper into the space. And the local guys rejected it because of the way that their whole space is configured. And then they sent it up to Henry Schein Corporate, and they rejected it altogether.
What are the 2 spaces used for?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What's the use of the 2 tenants?
So Henry Schein, part of the Henry Schein corporate umbrella, but this particular branch for Henry Schein, they do dental molds. They develop the equipment to do the dental molds, and this is sort of like their test and research area, and they also have like a customer service base as well.
And what about the new tenant?
I'm sorry?
And what about the new tenant?
The new tenant is a company called Nanoramic. So they are a company that's in the design, research, and development of battery technology.
What kind of trucks are going to be coming in and out of here? Are you going to see, tractor trailers?
No, we've told them straight out that there's no way they'll get a tractor trailer back there. So it would be a box truck.
Yeah, that's correct.
So, I mean, at least from this view, are there any trees that are going to need to come down here? It doesn't look like there's much space between the tree line and the building itself.
Peter, if I could just interject for a second, because I know you know it better, but so we have to actually periodically maintain those trees specifically along the building, because it interferes with the access to the pole for the utility company. I don't know when this picture was taken, but you can see the pole, I believe, tower right there. It's quite overgrown. So we've basically, per their request, we continue on a regular basis to keep kind of prune those back, so that if in an emergency or for a service, they can drive along the building and get access to those poles.
Will they need to be cut though? That was the good question, is how many trees will need to be cut down?
I don't think we're planning on cutting any trees, as I recall it. It's the width of it was kind of selected so that we could squeeze it in there where they currently drive.
I just want to look at Because it seems to me that if you're saying that you already have to prune things back just to maintain that one pole and line, that it's gonna, that to get a box truck in. Okay, I'm just curious how that's gonna work. And so how about in the courtyard area? Any trees coming down there? None?
I think
Shrubs,
there's
but not
some landscape that we maybe have to eliminate, but not natural trees. There's some landscape in that area.
Is there a percentage of degradation that make, in terms of permeability relative to, in other words, is it gonna be, 40% or 30% less pervious, or I'm just curious what the
Well, the design of the pavers is such that it tries to capture the water in the vegetated area and let it infiltrate. And the reason you put the aggregate below it is to have an area where it can act as infiltration.
I guess I'm curious whether but doesn't that mean that like in a heavy storm well, I guess I want to understand the difference between what this will mean in terms of how permeable this will all be and how much water can be absorbed, the amount of water that can be absorbed.
I've never seen any statistics on that, but in a heavy storm, I'm sure that the grassed area there, I told you that some of it is kind of compact and not terribly good quality grass. In a heavy storm, there's going to be runoff from that as well.
I mean, I would expect you to actually have better drainage with this scenario because of the sand and all the work that's being done there than what's currently there.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of maintenance does this require?
Hopefully just cutting the grass, that grows up in the squares.
Are there any technical specifications that come along with it that, have recommendations for maintenance?
I don't know of any. We've used it on a few jobs. In fact, I think we used it initially in back of Power Products. I don't know that it's still there because I know that they've done some further changes since that time. But we used it as an infiltration basin at Power Products when we converted half of that building to the Chevy dealership.
Peter, can I ask you, what's the regulation that you say you can do this under? You said it has to be less than 5,000 square feet?
The standard for disturbance in the riverfront area is 5,000 feet or 10% of the riverfront area, whichever is greater. And this whole site practically is in the riverfront area because the riverfront area is 200 feet. So this obviously is a small amount. Now, a lot of the riverfront area is already disturbed, but it was disturbed before the regulation.
It was disturbed before 1996?
Oh, yeah. When was this building built, Doug?
That's the old analogic building, right?
Yes, it's the old analogic building.
That was there in the 70s.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's the 70s. Our company, I believe, made the purchase in 1996, I think.
Yes, 96.
So what would you propose in the wintertime for de-icing and plowing? How is that all going to be managed?
You can plow it. Obviously, it's not as easy to plow as hot top, but you can plow it. You got to make sure that the plow is running on the pavers. But I would think they could probably schedule their deliveries too, so that they don't have to do it when there's a tremendous amount of snow. I mean, Doug, you said it was about monthly that they were going to have deliveries, or?
That's what they had indicated to us, yeah. You know, typical trucks like FedEx and all that don't have to go down this road, right? Because they can come in, small packages comes into the main entrance of the building, which is the most convenient for them because they can serve 2 tenants. Their need of the loading dock is for their larger equipment as part of their R&D.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any space in this area where you would be able to plow snow onto. Where would you actually put the snow that you would plow?
Oh, I think you can put it in the between the turf stone and the building in the landscaped areas. It's actually good grass in that large rectangular area there. You could put it there. Yeah, that area there. Yeah.
I mean, currently we have the landscape contractor that Reno uses. We have a Caterpillar piece of equipment that has a bucket, and it also has a push. So we could utilize either one of those to direct the snow into that middle area north of where it says proposed turf stone drive.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to be, keep on asking this question. Peter, I have the regulations having to do with riverfront. So can you cite the regulation that you say is what you just said, which is 5,000 feet or 10% of the front area?
You have to be consistent with 10.5, 10.585, right? Is that what you're
Right.
going by?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, Jim.
Yeah,
I don't have the regulation in front of me, but I know that's the standard. It's 10% of the riverfront area or 5,000 feet, whichever is greater.
I have the regulations. I will be happy to read them. if
yeah,
you-
why don't you do that, Elaine?
Okay, so the first question I have really is this a redevelopment program, a proposal under 585 or just a regular development proposal under 584?
We said it was partially a redevelopment project.
What portion, is this the portion that's redevelopment or is this the portion that's not redevelopment?
Well, clearly the pole line is redevelopment, right?
No, it depends on the nature of the soil upon which things are going to go. So poles are just poles.
Yeah.
So what you have here is open lawn at the moment.
Yeah.
So that would be not redevelopment, because redevelopment is on an area that's previously developed, which is defined under 10.585 as replacement, rehabilitation, or expansion of existing structures, improvement of existing roads, or reuse of degraded or previously developed areas. And then they go on to define that and say, a previously developed riverfront area contains areas degraded prior to August 7th, 1996 by impervious surfaces from existing structures or pavement, absence of topsoil, junkyards, or abandoned dumping grounds.
Yeah. And that lawn area is none of those things.
Well, I think there's areas in the lawn as you go by the building that are devoid of topsoil.
No, I was there this afternoon. They're not devoid of topsoil. It sits on fill, and that fill in and of itself is topsoil, and it's all lawn. So it's not devoid of topsoil.
Well, I recall distinctly when I was out there this summer that they, particularly as you first enter into the off of the paved area there, that there's very little topsoil and very little grass. I don't think
There might be very little grass, but there's definitely topsoil. It's soil. It sits on fill, so it's all soil.
right, but it's not topsoil. It's not organics.
What is it then? Is it an impervious surface? Is
No.
it junk? Is it abandoned dumping ground, junk? Or an existing structure or pavement?
Right.
It's not a junkyard, no.
Okay, so that's out. Is it an existing structure? No, because there's no structure there. Is there pavement there? No. Or an abandoned dumping ground? No. It just doesn't meet any of those standards. So that's not, I just don't see how that's redevelopment.
Well, that's as far as that portion of it. I didn't say that portion of it was redevelopment. I said the activities to do with the pole line was a redevelopment of the pole line. That is a new disturbance, I agree, and you get 5,000 square feet or 10%, whichever is greater.
So I don't see that.
Okay, so then you're
Yeah, I
going
don't-
back
Again,
to,
I don't see that requirement, again, in the regulation, Peter.
wait a
It's
minute, it's there, it's there. Wait a minute, let me find
It's-
it. Then
it's-
you're
it's-
going back to 4.
Yeah, it's there.
It is there. Hold on. Let me find it and I will read it out.
Try under D, no significant adverse impact.
Thank you. Okay, here we go. 10.584D1. Within the 200-foot riverfront area, the issuing authority may allow the alteration of up to 5,000 square feet or 10% of the riverfront area within the lot, whichever is greater, on a lot recorded on or before October 6, 1977, subject to the restrictions of 10.584C or 10% of the riverfront area recorded after 1997, provided that, okay, at a minimum, a 100-foot wide area of undisturbed vegetation is provided. This shall extend from the mean annual high water along the river unless another location would better protect the interest identified in the act. If there is not a 100-foot wide area of undisturbed vegetation within the riverfront area, existing vegetative cover shall be preserved or extended to the maximum amount feasible to approximate a 100-foot wide corridor of natural vegetation.
So if anything, we
And
want to add,
then it goes on to say, this might be helpful. Replication and compensatory storage required to meet other resource area performance. This might be stormwater. If you're talking about infiltration, are allowed in this area. Okay. Structural stormwater management measures may be allowed only when there's no practical alternative. So.
Yeah. We don't have 100-foot of natural vegetation anywhere on the lot.
So is that what you're saying? That, are you saying that this is a stormwater structure?
You know, the turf stone certainly could be considered a stormwater structure, I think.
So replication and compensatory storage required to meet other resource standards are allowed in this area. Structural stormwater management measures may be allowed only if there is no practicable alternative. I have a question for you. I was there this afternoon and I followed this path or roadway, whatever you wish to call it, up to the building, and there is no door for it. So it looked to me like you're going to cut out a door out of the side of the building.
That's correct. We stated that in the application.
Right,
We got to remove a portion of a wall. There's a window there.
right.
The window will
Yep.
become a door.
Yep. So my question is, if you're going to basically cut open a loading dock size hole in that portion of the building, is that the only place you can open that hole? Is that the only part that he owns?
That's
I'm not sure I follow you
the
there.
question, Elaine.
Yes. You're cutting a huge hole in that side of that building
That's
to
correct. Yeah.
accommodate the loading dock.
That's correct.
So my question is there any other place in that building where you could cut another hole?
So, I mean, to answer that question as it relates to this particular tenant, no. So if you're looking at the side of the building now, where you have that long, tall, narrow window on the left, that's a stairwell. And so this opening would be to the right of it. That's the only available wall. So that there's 3 walls that this tenant has available. This particular wall, the one to the right, which would be east, and then the one to the far north, which, as you can see, the building comes probably within 6 or 8 feet of the wetlands, I think at the tightest corner. Everything to the west, if you will, or the northwest of this face is a different tenant.
Well, I don't know what difference that makes to us right now, but
No, it doesn't. It makes no difference in terms of protecting the riverfront.
Right,
I'd
but-
like to, could I ask another question while I
Bear in mind that
asking
we're not asking to make this impervious. We're asking to take a lawn area and just put some turf stone down so that we can have access and restoring the lawn area.
well, we'd rather restore the lawn area with grass than pavers.
It's gonna be grass. It's turf stone. That's the whole purpose of this.
Hey, Peter, how often, when you say it's gonna just get occasional use, what, can you just give, some sense of what occasional means?
Doug said it was about 1 access a month, right, Doug?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that it's only going to be once a month and nothing more, but it's
I have no
infrequent. They don't,
idea.
Mhm.
they don't have regular deliveries. This is the use of the loading dock for them is to get large pieces of equipment in the building. They have equipment that they use and manipulate. That's roughly, I want to say like 9 by 10, something like that.
We actually almost shouldn't even consider that because we don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Well, I also, the reason I'm also asking is because that it seems to me that you're going to want to keep that, there's going to be a snow removal component to it. And can I ask, does the roof, when is it a flat roof that has to be shoveled in the winter as well?
All buildings, there's one slanted roof at the front of each lobby. It's a small roof, but the majority of the buildings are a flat roof.
Okay, just wondering whether it just means that you're going to be pushing stuff off onto the driveway and then having to plow the roof runoff and the other stuff to keep, because you're going to want to have that plowed, and it's just going to be plowing all kinds of snow into the wetland.
I mean,
and
we've
it's not even truck that out. My God, that's so tight.
I mean, I've been with the company since 2003, and there's only been 1 year that we had to shovel snow off the roof. And that was, I think, 2015, which is, we just had.
All right, but even so, but if your goal is to keep that clear, there's only one place for that snow to go unless it's trucked away, which it seems like that's going to be, I don't even know if there's room to truck it away. It's going to be plowed into the wetland.
I mean, our storage area is intended to be sort of, if you will, in the north west corner of that road going in. And again, and if need be, if it gets excessive, like at other buildings we have where we have small lots, we bring a dump truck in and we load it with a loader and then we bring it out. That would be, a year that you would have excessive snow.
Well, can we do a site walk on this? I mean, I know that Lane's walked it.
I know.
Sometimes you just got to see it.
Sure.
I think also, Peter, I think you need to put the 100-foot,
100-year floodplain or the
no,
100.
no, the,
Yeah.
Christ, I can't, wait a minute. The 100-foot riverfront and 200-foot riverfront should be on this plan.
Well, I mean, the
And
100-foot riverfront,
I don't see that you actually, anywhere in your, I don't believe anywhere in your report that you talked about the riverfront.
we did,
Right.
we absolutely did. We
I
described
don't,
the riverfront area, and we said that it was, that the mean high water was essentially the wetland line, and that's where the fill comes up sharply. And the 100-foot buffer to the BVW in the riverfront area is shown. Obviously, this is completely in the 100-foot buffer, so the 200-foot buffer is immaterial.
well, why, because it's off your property?
No,
It
it's.
should be, it
it's
should be
on the
shown on the
front.
plan no matter what. It's a resource that needs to go on the plan. All resources go on the plan. But I think
Well,
that
yeah.
I think that you need to go back through 10.585 or 4, I mean, yeah, or 4 and answer all these questions in writing for us, so we can talk about them.
Okay,
Peter,
Could I
you're kind
ask? Go
Go
ahead.
I'm sorry. Well, you're kind of, Peter, you're kind of suggesting that this turf stone is really, it's a wash, whether you do turf stone or whether you leave it the way it is in terms of environmental impact.
Right.
And I guess the question I have is, I don't know if that's, I guess I'd like to have some sort of understanding of whether that's true. I just have familiarity with this
But
product.
Peter, he's not saying that because he's saying it falls within, he's doing something to it because Peter cites the 5,000 square 10%. So that means it's doing something.
it's a disturbance. It's a disturbance. This 5,773 feet of
Yeah.
disturbance.
Yeah, how much of the top do you have to take off? Like 15 inches or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, you want to get rid of enough so that you're right back to grade, and the total cross section that they show is a minimum of 8 inches of compacted aggregate base below it, and then the pavers themselves are, I think, probably 3 inches or 4 inches thick. So you got to go down at least a foot, and probably more like 15 or 18 inches.
Okay.
So I agree we should take a site visit, and I agree with Jim that you should go through 10.58 or 4 or 5 and tell us how you meet all those standards.
Could I ask one more question? There was a reference just a few minutes ago about the need to set up guardrails. So I see on the plan that we've got an area of turf stone that's shown on the plan. In some places, according to my measurements, it's between 5 and 10 feet away from the wetland for a distance of about 60 feet. So my question is, the guardrails, they're going to encroach even closer to that wetland than the edge of this turf driveway? How close would the guardrails be to the driveway? How close would the guardrails be to the wetland? I can't find it shown on the plan.
We didn't show any guardrail on the plan. That's something that I just heard about at this meeting, that they were proposing a guardrail. We didn't show one.
It came up, Peter, it came up during this last review of the Wakefield Municipal Department. They want to ensure that the poles are going to be protected from anything that would be going along this roadway or driveway.
So they'll be between this driveway and the poles.
I would have assumed that they would have been on the edge of the driveway. 18 inches, I'm sorry, 18 feet is more than we would need. And in my opinion. So I would think that the guardrail could be within that 18 feet off the building.
I see. And one other question, you say you're bringing you're bringing in heavy equipment in box trucks. How many tons would that heavy equipment be?
I could find that out. I don't know the weight of their pieces of equipment.
The reason I ask is, depending on the weight of whatever is in that truck, I think you should compare it to the weight, to the structural integrity of these pavers and the structural integrity of the driveway. It's just, it sits on fill. It sits on fill that's in close proximity to water, that rises and falls periodically. I would just want to make sure that it'll hold up over time.
But Elaine, it could be used for anything. So what the current tenant proposes to use it for isn't even, you have to go further than that. It's like, well, it's not just what the proposed use is, but how big a truck, how heavy equipment could be there. So it's not.
I don't disagree, but I think for the purposes of this hearing, if the weight won't hold up to this weight, then it doesn't matter what'll happen in the future.
Oh, sure it does.
Peter, you can certainly speak and probably have more information about it than I do, but I know on other projects where we considered this particular type of driveway block is designed to handle large fire trucks to gain access around a building where it would otherwise be not accessible through mud and dirt. So it's designed to have a lot of weight. If you imagine large filled pumper trucks, et cetera. That being said, we know what size truck would come in. I believe the equipment is a couple 3,000 pounds. We're not talking about 10, 15,000 pounds pieces of equipment on a truck, but I can get that information from the tenant.
I
So
think
can
that
you
would
get
be a good
information?
start at a minimum.
I'm
Just so
sorry, you
we have-
cut out.
We have some baseline.
Sure.
I was just going to say, this is kind of related to my question about maintenance. There has to be some manufacturer specifications regarding this, this material and the final product. Could you find anything like that and, include in your plan any maintenance that's required and also any specs on, bearing capacity and limits and things like that? I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, it's concrete, so it's durable and it has a long life. We did submit some pictures of turf stone areas.
Right, but even with a poor base, I mean, you might, in some instances, depending on the time of year you install this, you might be dropping this into water. I mean, I would assume that back area gets flooded occasionally. I know we just had some periods of high water recently. Does that flood occasionally back there?
I've never seen it flooded, but it may. The 100-year flood zone is shown there, and it's a portion of it is in the 100-year flood zone.
Are those
What's
based on the maps, the 100-year flood zone?
What's that?
Which maps are those based on? Are those I guess I'll call it the old maps or the?
I believe the reference plan map was the 2012. Jim, to get back to your problem of discussing the impact, under 3, no significant impact. This project will disturb a total of 573 square feet or 1.16 of the riverfront area on this lot. This is less than the threshold of 5,000 feet or 10% on a lot recorded on October 6, 1997. The project is unable to meet the standard of providing a 100-foot buffer of undisturbed vegetation in the location chosen, since there is none due to the extended development. The paved driveway will provide impervious grass cover and disturbed areas will be revegetated. So our point is that there is no prior undisturbed 100-foot buffer, and it's vegetated now and it'll be vegetated in the future. I mean, that was the whole purpose of the turf stone. If it weren't for the riverfront regulations, we might have asked to pave it, but we obviously know that we can't. So I don't think it's fair to say that we didn't discuss this at all in the application, is my point.
Well, I said I didn't find, I hadn't found it in the application.
On page 4.
If you read it, I know it's there.
You know, I understand that the commission is not excited about the project, but we have a situation here where there's a large building which once had a single tenant in it, I believe, and is not a space that can easily be reused. And when Doug came to me and asked me about it, I said that I felt that the commission was not going to be excited about it, but hopefully they'd understand that this is something that they need to keep the building rented. And I believe that the DEP, I did not get back to my office today. I was at a meeting. I came directly home for this, but I believe they did issue a file number with no comments.
Yeah.
You know, and the whole purpose of the allowing disturbance on lots that were created prior to that certain date was that the state didn't want to see people harmed by the riverfront. In fact, the agreement was that there would be no increase in jurisdiction. I don't know quite how they got to 200 feet from 100 feet, but anyway, they didn't want to hurt existing uses. I understand that if this was a new project, you know, I wouldn't even be asking if it was a new project, because it doesn't meet the standards, but it's an existing condition and it's a valuable building, and these people would like to be able to keep it rented.
Can we plan a site walk?
Yeah.
Suggestions?
I think everyone should try to get there for this.
It's
Can I
daylight.
suggest a date and time?
It's daylight savings time after this weekend. We can do it in the evening.
Peter, which page did you say that was? 4?
Page 4, yeah. Of the narrative. Not page 4 of the application. The state didn't write it. We wrote it. We have a narrative, and we went over the criteria of what we could and couldn't do in compliance.
Get the right paper.
Project narrative.
Yeah, I went out. I'll find it.
All right, any suggestions for a site walk time or date?
I would prefer to be, well, again, Bob, are you away on the weekend?
I'm away right now, actually. I'll be back Sunday night. But I can go there anytime. On my own, doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, any weekend I can do it, so you don't have to work around me. I can work around you.
I guess I would propose, I don't know, I'm going to propose an early time on Sunday, but other people might not like that.
What, on a Sunday?
Or, yeah, or Saturday.
It's fine with me. I just want to see if I can get everyone to go.
Right, and I guess, how do others feel about doing it on a Saturday or Sunday, say at 8 or 9?
that's fine with me.
I'm okay with the earlier end.
Yeah, I'll be away the next 2 Sundays, but I'll be around this Saturday.
Just to let you know, we're getting a very big rainstorm this Saturday. The weather's not
Okay.
gonna be cooperating with us.
Yeah, it could be
Okay.
snow
That's even
also.
better.
Even better, the rain will be good.
Maybe.
All right, you guys decide. Saturday, Sunday this weekend?
I'm okay with Sunday.
Well, Frank said he can't do Sunday.
Oh, well,
Who can't do Sunday?
I
I
can't do
was
Sunday.
serious, I was serious when I suggested that it's daylight savings this weekend. It's gonna be pretty light in the evening now.
Yeah, I have a much better shot at doing an evening.
Okay.
okay, fine.
I mean, I think it's probably light. It's light now until 5:30, probably light until 6:30 anyway during the week, and we don't have to do it this week. We could even wait another week, I think.
Okay, well, let's decide. I think we need to decide pretty quickly. Can we do that?
So, yeah, pick a weeknight then after like a 6 o'clock, some weeknight.
Okay,
How about next Thursday?
good.
That works for me.
Same.
It doesn't work well for me, but I can have somebody there, so that's all right.
Okay,
All right, 6 o'clock, is that good for everybody? Or not? It's
No.
gonna be too early for Teresa. And
Yeah, it's early for me. It's not convenient for me, but
Okay. Um,
That is St. Patrick's Day, I believe.
oh yeah, it is.
It is.
There'll be some interesting opinions.
I'm personally not Irish, so
Peter and Teresa, you guys can't do any time before 7, right? And it's gonna be dark at that point.
I have more flexibility because I work from home primarily now.
Okay.
so, and I have two, I have two meetings already scheduled for that night, so I can't do it at all that night.
How about the 16th?
Wednesday,
Fine.
that'll work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fine.
I can do that.
okay, I can do it.
6 o'clock? We still got daylight at 6? We will then.
Yes.
All right, so
Okay.
3/16 at 6 o'clock.
Okay, can someone send out a notice now like we've been doing so there's no mistake?
Okay, so it's March 16th. At what time again? I'm sorry.
6 p.m.
At 6.
PM. All right, and before we close, do you mind if I ask another question here? We talked about, for the first time, I think, the use of this structure as a stormwater structure in order to meet the standards of this portion of the regulations. So it seems to me there should be some kind of stormwater analysis on it. And one of the reasons I ask about this, in addition to the Wetlands Protection Act, is that this is the first filing we've had where the classification for this area is now a Class A water system, so that it comes under surface water quality standards. And they talk about this. It is an outstanding resource water because it
Elaine, you're on mute now.
We lost her.
No, I'm back. Sorry, just touched the wrong part of the phone. Okay, this is the first filing we've had where Lake Quannapowitt and all of the feeders in that whole area become part of a Class A water body because it feeds into the Lynn public water supply. So it is considered an outstanding resource water. This is the first filing we've had where this comes into play. So it says here that any new or increased discharge, where is it here? So you have to take a look at, it has to meet the minimum criteria for surface waters. And it gives the section of the regulation for that. And the question is, because is there not a discharge? And a discharge is any addition of any pollutant or combination of pollutants to the water of the Commonwealth from any source. So I understand that this is a DEP function, not a local conservation commission function, but we have a situation here where either it's a stormwater structure and the infiltration is adequately designed, or if it is not, then it is a discharge into an outstanding resource water. And if that's the case, then at least we should have some information on the surface water quality standards. So I think we should start incorporating this into the course of the public hearing, and I think we should request information on this topic.
I don't think this constitutes a discharge under the definition of discharge, but we can look into that further.
Thank you. I think a large
I mean-
part of this is we need to educate ourselves. So on its face, it appears to be a discharge unless it's adequately infiltrated, and we really don't have. We really have no idea of the stormwater design function of this. So if we could get some information on the interplay between the two, I think we'd have a more complete filing.
Yeah.
I'd have to see what kind of standard you'd be looking for. I mean, this is only going to infiltrate as good as what it is below it. But and I don't know the nature of the material there. We could dig a test hole, I suppose. But this is designed to provide the storage in the aggregate below it, and to infiltrate to the extent that it does now. It's not a parking lot in terms of water quality.
I get that, but the problem you have here is that under the regulations, the only break you get for something that is that close to a resource area is for stormwater. So it either has to be a stormwater structure or you don't get the break that the regulations give you. So either it's a stormwater structure and you get the break under the Wetlands Protection Act and you get the break under surface water quality standards, or it's not a stormwater structure, and then you have other issues that have to be addressed.
The stormwater structure thing simply says that stormwater structures are not considered a disturbance. We have not argued at any point that this is not a disturbance. We say it's a disturbance, but we
What do you
say
mean a disturbance? Define that.
a disturbance would be cutting down or getting rid of the existing land cover and regrading, and those are all disturbances. We agree that this is a disturbance, but we're saying we replicate the values of it, and it says that right in the filing. We replicate the values by using the turf stone. And so the disturbance in essence is temporary, and I think the question Elaine is asking is this as effective as the grass that's out there now? And I don't know of any scientific studies that have been done to that in that regard. But we concede the fact that we can't provide 100 feet of undisturbed area because it's already disturbed. There is no natural vegetative cover for 100 feet anywhere on the site. I also started my presentation by saying that this was a filled wetland area back to make an industrial park in the 1950s.
But Peter, that cuts the exact opposite way to me. I mean, you're saying that so much bad stuff has been done. You're saying what's the harm of a little more? I would say the opposite is true, that enough is enough. I mean, how much more pressure do you want to put on the river? I mean, I just sort of hear those comments that you make, and they resonate exactly the opposite with me.
Well, I'm surprised because what we've tried to do is replicate what's there now so that it's not any worse. It's not any more stress on the river. In fact, you might even argue that this is a better infiltration thing, although I think it's a hard thing to analyze, but
What is the groundwater elevation there?
it's probably close to the wetland elevation. I told you I haven't done a test hole. We can do a test hole.
Elaine, does the fact that we're sort of introducing motor vehicle traffic running, for a long period right along the river, or right along the wetland, is that, I don't know even how that, I mean, I guess I'm talking about is the use, not the structure that to be built, but the fact that it would be, that there's going to be vehicles and there's going to be, and they can leak. I just didn't know what it means, the fact that this is a roadway that's going to accommodate motor vehicle traffic. Is that relevant in any way? Or is this, I was thinking about the Class A waterway designation.
Well, I've just started looking over Class A water body surface water regulations. And I haven't seen anything about use so much as they talk in terms of discharges, not or structures built on the land, not what goes over them once that structure is constructed.
Okay, thank you.
Can we just wrap this up because I think we're way behind, aren't we, Bob?
We are way behind. Yes, we are. That's why I was trying to get the site walk nailed
Yeah,
down.
so we're gonna continue this till our next hearing.
Which is on March 24th. Okay, we ready to move on?
Yep.
And that site walk scheduled for Wednesday.
Wednesday, March 16th at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. And we'll see you at the site walk.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is DEP 313613. That's 2 Clyde Court. Paul, I see you're here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I did submit in a few plans this past week. Actually came in probably yesterday or this morning, and also last week was the landscaping plan. Do you want me to share? If you want to share the screen, I can bring them up.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
This is the first one that's up on the screen is the landscaping plan that was done by James Emanuel. So we're showing the plantings within that fenced-in area. And then we also carried an existing plantings outside the 25-foot buffer zone. And then on the other side also of the stone swale that leads out of the detention area. Here's a list of types of plantings and the shrubs and the trees.
So has Elaine looked at this?
I don't know. Oh, sorry.
Elaine, you there? Did we lose her?
I don't know why I keep getting muted. I'm sorry. So I'm looking at this and my notes from the last meeting say a planting list and a final location should be submitted on a landscape plan. So my question is, the landscape plan I have is dated February, oh, that's so small, 28th, I think.
Yes.
Is that the latest one? Okay. So we have a plant list here and the plants look suitable to me and we have the locations. So it appears to me as if that requirement has been taken care of. There's a limit of work line that was supposed to be shown on the landscaped plan. I'm assuming that's the 25-foot buffer zone line here, Paul?
Well, the limit of activity line is this line that runs along here, which is going to be a fence line.
Oh, the squared off portion.
Yes, this one is
Okay.
down.
All right, so that's the limit of work line. I'll make a note of that on the plan.
That would be the limit of work line. Then we put some other plantings that would be in the detention area, the
Okay,
detention easement, I should say, drainage easement.
okay. And then I have here the limit of work line to be shown in landscaped area, yep. And then there's some talk about, let's see, about putting something out in the field. Posts, something along that line.
We're talking about we're going to be having a fence that's going to be running right along that line,
Is there
which is our conservation restriction line.
Okay, so let me look at the conservation restriction.
There's a conservation
Plan.
restriction plan that I submitted in
I
also.
see it, yep, I have it in front of me. I'm looking at it right here, conservation easement.
I have it on the screen.
Is there a fence shown on this plan?
There is on the wetlands plan, on the site plan. I have a
Okay,
detail
hold on.
basically that shows that that's going to be a fence.
Okay.
So it's on the
right.
third drawing of the submittal.
I see it right here. And, okay, so there's a fence on that, so it appears that that's taken care of. And then then they talk about a no-touch zone to be noted in the order and recorded in the deeds. Brian McGrail will draw this up.
Yes, Brian,
and
actually, I've talked with Brian. He said he wouldn't be able to finish up the conservation restriction for the deed. He wanted to get a little bit more information, so I believe he's going to try and talk with you, but he's been somewhat busy. But he can get that done. So I was just wondering if we can still be able to close the hearing. He can still write up that and go over the defined limits of what you actually want in the restriction.
Okay. I've got that, so that's not my decision to make, I guess,
Mhm.
whatever the commission wants.
When did he say he could
What
get
I'm
it
saying
done?
is that we would have to, before we can issue the order, we have to have agreeable wording as to what the deed restriction, because we're gonna put that right in the order.
Yeah, that can be certainly a condition.
So we just need to work with Brian before we issue the order.
When does Brian think he can do it?
He emailed me yesterday morning, saying he wouldn't be able to have it in time for this evening's hearing. He's been doing the Board of Appeals and Planning Board, so he said he can get to it. I just hoping he can have it before the next meeting and get it in, because I believe he wanted to talk to either Elaine or Rebecca in regards to the actual language in the deed restriction.
So Paul, you couldn't wait another couple weeks?
I'd like to at least have it, close, at least with the condition that be a part of a condition. That way, if you have it closed and you had to write up the order condition, well, it doesn't really matter.
How quickly does
Yeah.
the order have to be issued after we close the hearing?
Excuse me?
It's a question of Elaine. Elaine, how quickly do we have to issue the order after we close the hearing?
21 days.
20 days.
21 days, okay.
Well, we're not supposed to be taking more. I don't know.
So we should be able to do it in 21 days, no?
Well, if someone wants to question it, they really can't question it.
Oh, I see.
The
Right,
public can't.
right.
No one can
Right.
do anything about it.
Yep.
I honestly, I hate to say this to you, but I think we should probably wait till the next meeting and see if you can get Brian to do it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, I'll email Brian tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So if I'm going to talk to Brian,
Yes.
is it that you want me to discuss with Brian?
Uh,
What is it
basically,
you
it's-
want in there?
yeah,
What do you want me to tell him?
Who are you talking to?
Oh, the Conservation Commission.
Right,
the
right,
mem-
right, right. In terms of the deed restriction saying that that he can't alter, he do in that area. He's not supposed to access it at all, right? Is supposed to get to it at all?
Wasn't it, what are we writing here? I thought it was just like some type of restriction.
Right, Elaine is saying, what is it gonna say, Jim?
Brian's got to draft it up and he wants
Right.
to know what are the
Our concerns?
conditions of the restriction.
Okay, our concerns are that they don't creep into this area, that they preserve the plants and,
Okay, so I've got that the property owner cannot alter the area without prior review of the Conservation Commission. So, I mean, there may be times when he wants to get in there and we
Yeah.
would like him to get in there. And so as long as he checks with the commission, that would be the first condition. So
Anyone
we
else?
also would want to say that this exists in perpetuity.
yeah.
Well, it doesn't, by the way, but that's okay.
Well, that's the thing. These deed restrictions, they usually
50 years
expire after
50
20
Yeah,
years.
unless you extend it, yeah.
So I think perhaps that part of it should be expressed in the order of conditions and say that it runs with the land rather than putting it in the deed restriction.
Well, why can't there just be a condition in perpetuity?
That's what I'm saying.
Why, we don't need a restriction, do we?
Oh, so do away with the deed restriction altogether
What
and
do we
just do
gain?
the whole thing through the order.
I would do
Yeah.
both. No one reads the order of conditions.
True.
People read the deeds.
Yeah. Well, can you put it in both places? And at least it'd be secure for 20 years. That sound all right?
That sounds
Yeah.
okay.
So would this deed restriction pretty much mimic whatever condition we come up with?
Yeah, that's what he's looking for.
Yeah,
And maybe,
put in the.
go ahead, Teresa.
Would put in the deed.
So do we want to put something in there that, I mean, you've said that they can't go in there without prior review from the commission, but on the other hand, you want them to make an affirmative effort to maintain and replace plants that die.
Yeah,
Right.
don't,
And if they
don't
think
we
they
really,
can't touch it, they're gonna say, oh, it died. Well, that's that.
Yeah, we would want replication in kind for something that may die off, but we'd want any trash that gets in there to be cleaned up. So, I mean, we don't want any alterations.
And we want no dumping of leaves or other yard debris in that area.
Correct. No filling, no dumping.
Okay.
Does anyone have some wording for like an overall intent of what we're trying to accomplish?
Like
I
a
guess-
preamble that gives kind of the concept of all of this?
Yeah, kind of, so that it gives you some flexibility to understand what our goal is and why we've put this restriction in there. You must be able to figure something out, Elaine.
Yeah,
Are you,
yeah.
are
I
you
don't
sure
think that'll.
you're not
be
a
too hard.
lawyer, Jim?
What?
Are you sure you're not a lawyer?
Not a chance. All right, is that good? Because we're gonna move on.
Okay, anything else? All right, Paul, are you all set?
I'm all set. I'll talk with Brian in the morning.
Okay, Elaine, you all set?
I am, thank you.
Okay.
Thank
All right,
you.
any questions from anybody else? All right, hearing none, we'll be moving on.
Thank you.
All right, good night, Paul.
Good
All
night.
right, next up, DP 313-608, which is 400 Quannapowitt Parkway.
Hi, Matt D'Amico representing the applicant. Just wanted to briefly report that we are continuing to work on plans to address some of the concerns that the commission had. And we will be, requesting a continuance of this hearing to the next regularly scheduled Conservation Commission hearing.
Any questions from the commission? Or comments? Elaine or Rebecca, do you have anything?
I don't. Rebecca?
Rebecca might not be here right now.
Well, I'm here. Not right now. I think we still have to chip away at some things. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay. All right, any questions from the public? All right, continued till March 24th. And we'll be moving on to the next item on the agenda.
Hey, Bob, Dennis had his hand up. I don't know if that,
Did?
if you saw that.
Oh, sorry. He's muted.
Dennis, you're muted. We can't hear you.
All right. Thank you. Can you see that picture?
No,
Does
we
that
do
come up?
not.
It's the natural height of Lake Quannapowitt. Can you see
No,
that?
no, there's nothing.
Oh, well, I'm still, I guess I have to learn how to use. Did it come up?
Yep.
Oh, good. This picture was taken in 1948 when this was still a state park. And it's from a book I wrote about when I was on the Quannapowitt Study Committee. It's called Lake Quannapowitt, Problems and Solutions. And what you see here is Lowell Street is in the background. And the whole lake from North Avenue to Lowell Street used to be a state park. And in 1949 or 50, it was sold to the inhabitants of Wakefield for $1. But this is what is known as an attractive nuisance. In other words, there used to be a sandy beach, and there's still a sandy beach there. And they didn't want people to be using the beach. So they installed that dam at Lowell Street. And they raised the water level of the lake so that there's no beach there anymore, as you know, if you go down there. And then when they sold it to American Mutual, the attorney for American Mutual, they put that loop in. Quantipower Parkway used to go straight across, and they put that diversion around the back. They call it the buckle. So you have a unique opportunity here. I mean, I know the powers that be in this town want to have this development go in, and obviously the developers want to see this to go in. And what they did was they blocked the river, the Ash River. We call it Walker's Brook now. So no water comes into the lake. And they also put the dam out, at the outlet, and they raised the water level. I mean, you have a unique opportunity if you deny this application to let the Walker's Brook flow into the lake like it should, and remove that dam at the outlet. And that way you won't have to hold your nose when you walk around the lake. And you have the bugs and the green scum. I mean, this is the only part of the Saugus River, this little half mile, where the Saugus River is polluted like this. And if you just restored the flow of water from Walker's Brook and let the natural height of the lake come back, you'll have a clean lake again. That's all you have to do. It's very simple. And everyone wants this. And if you deny this application, at least they'll remove the dam, they'll clear the blockage, and you'll have a clean lake again. Thank you for your time. I very much appreciate you volunteering to take care of Lake Quantipower. And goodbye.
Thank you, Dennis. I think we talked about this last time. This would require an effort between Wakefield and Reading. It's a project.
Well, the water, I mean, the river's flowing backwards. The Walker's Brook is flowing backwards into the Reading Drainage Canal, which was built in 1939. But, well, it was actually built in the 40s. It was approved in 1939. So the river's flowing backwards into the Reading Drainage Canal. That's how water gets into the Saugus River now. But thank you for your time. And I'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks,
Okay.
Dennis.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on. So 2 weeks from now, March 24th would be the continuation of this hearing. The next item is postponed. It was DEP 313602, and that was 237 Water Street. That was a continued hearing, public hearing for a reconfiguration and pavement at the car wash. So that meeting has been postponed by the applicant. Next up, we have some other business. We have 94 Butler Ave, or we have 138 Salem Street. Elaine or Rebecca, do you have a choice?
I think 94 Butler Ave, Bill Renault couldn't make it tonight, so he's going to try to attend the next meeting.
Okay. All right, so that leaves 138 Salem Street.
Yes, and Bob, I sent you an email earlier this evening
Yes.
that I forwarded the email from the property owner. And I think I also sent you some pictures that
Yeah,
had
there's
come
only one
on
picture.
myself.
Hey, Bob, Matt Callahan here.
Hey, Matt.
Did you get my, I think I sent them to your phone. Not sure. I sent the document and a couple pictures.
No, but you know what? What do you have for email address?
Callahan Matthew?
I mean, for me, sorry.
Oh, I thought I had Bob.Romano.
Oh, 22, Bob dot
Yeah, that was my
Romano
phone last
22.
time.
I do have Elaine's picture here.
Okay.
Share that.
And do you have the email I sent? It also has a letter from Keith's tree in it.
Yeah. Just to bring up the speed, last time we talked, you asked me to get in touch with the arborist. There we go. And the arborist was very insightful. He definitely identified the trees that were encroaching or problematic, and the trees in the back, fortunately enough, he did say there was some healthier ones, and we could probably, achieve what we want by pruning the parts of the healthier ones. So we went from, originally I said there was 14 trees, either 12 to 14 trees originally. And after talking to him, again, he's very insightful and he pointed out some things. We reduced it down to 6 trees, and it was just the ones really close and tight in the corner of the house. In this view, it would be the trees over to the right side of the picture, right over by there where the icon is there.
Right here.
Yeah, over in that direction, there was a cluster of trees. And one other thing he pointed out, which was new to me, is and it appeared to him, because I showed him a lot of roots, exposed roots that were very problematic and definitely a liability. Obviously, if we have people living there eventually, because there's 4 units in this building. There's water that runs down the street straight into the driveway, and then and it was clearing away a lot of the topsoil, which was exposing a lot of roots, which I guess then starts to become or create a problem or becomes problematic for the trees that are there. So it even gave more reason to say, yeah, I think these really need to go, which I was surprised to hear. So he wrote me up a document, and I think I sent it on over to Elaine, and I thought I sent it to you, Bob, but obviously I didn't. I can try to redo that right now while I'm.
Well, that should have been in the email that I sent you, Bob.
Yeah, I didn't get that, Elaine. I got the picture. And that's all I got.
Okay. Let me just try to grab the, geez.
I've got the pictures from the last meeting also.
Okay. Now, where are they? Okay, Keith, Jay. Elaine, were you able to go by any chance? And
I did. I went by this afternoon.
oh, great. All right, I think I have it now. And it was Bob 22?
Bob dot Romano 22.
Bob dot. Bob.Romano 22 at
Gmail.
Okay. Any luck, Bob?
Yep.
Oh, great.
Okay, the letter from Keith's Tree Service.
Yeah, And
Yeah.
he's an arborist, this guy,
Yes.
Jay. He's their arborist.
Can everybody see that?
Can you zoom in a little?
Yeah, hang on.
So he reduced it down, and he said the ones in the front that hang out over the street and stuff, he's gonna prune all those up, or they're gonna have them pruned up versus take them down, because they weren't in the direction of the house, which is understandable. And you know, of course, he wants to do as much as he can that is needed for the most part. But yeah, we went from, he originally, I was talking about 14 trees. He reduced it down to 6, and I could definitely, I totally agree with what he had to say. Like I said, he was very insightful. He's a good guy. Really knows
Okay.
what he's doing.
Good.
And these are all healthy trees?
Not all of them were healthy. The ones in the back, it was sort of 50-50. And the pieces that he said that were unhealthy, he would prune back. And he would definitely flag. Yeah, there we go. So that little batch in the, right behind the dumpsters, the grouping he was talking about. And there was a lot of surface roots due to a lot of runoff that comes straight off the street during major water storms. And he identified that pretty quickly.
But the 6 trees you wanna cut down? Are those
Yeah, they're right there, right behind there. They're right off the corner. They're really, those trees are roughly 7 feet off the house corner.
So this cluster right here with the 3 behind the dumpster,
Yeah.
and then
I-
additional 3. Let me see.
Yeah. Okay, so can you go back to that? See, okay, see the treehouse. So there's ones, that treehouse one, there's ones that are dangled, there's some dead wood that is up in there. If you, I don't know if you could see that, but those are the ones that he said you could get away with leaving, and he said he'd prune all the ones that are sort of in the direction of the house. Which it appears, those ones that are shooting off to the right, that's in the direction of the house, and that's what he recommended. And he assured me you probably wouldn't have to worry about that, and I was okay with that.
This is that same cluster off the corner of the house.
Yeah.
So we got 3 right here. And then are we looking at any of these other trees also as being the other 3?
Yeah, it were all it was just trees sort of in between that treehouse one, and then all the way back to us, to that
Okay.
one where it's right in front of us. So from where we're standing in this view all the way to the treehouse, that batch.
So it looks like
Because-
that's 6 trees if I'm counting them right.
Yeah, that's probably right, because
3, 4, 5.
I don't, whoa, hold on, that number 5, I'm not sure if that's one of them.
Okay. Maybe one of
Because
them.
I think, see that one dangling, you got the icon on?
Yeah.
He says that would be then pruned because that's jetting towards the house. He says, yeah, we could just clean that one up.
Okay.
There was some dead trees in there, and he said, you know, it's you know, if we prune it up, hopefully it will save it, and, you know, keep it going.
Yeah.
See if I can find a picture. I had some pictures that showed them dangling straight over the house.
The one you sent today, I believe. The one Elaine sent has it.
Okay.
It's right here, actually. Nope, sorry.
So are we just trying to see if we're in agreement with these 6 trees?
You talking to me?
I'm talking to
Okay.
the
Okay.
to the commissioners.
Okay,
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Okay,
yeah, see how that one shoots, yeah. And that's actually the one that's sitting there dangling. That's the one tree that he'd be taking out of the cluster, and that sort of originates from where that tree house is. So that's the only one I think he would take out. The rest he would prune that's over by the tree house.
Yeah, this one looks like it snapped off of something up here.
Yeah, that's already, Mother Nature has done its thing already once, I think. But yeah, he reduced it way down to 6, and I feel good about, with all his opinions and his thoughts. He like I said, very insightful guy, and I was happy to hear what he had to say. And the ones out by the street, there's one that dangles out straight over the street at the beginning of the driveway as you enter into the backyard. He's gonna prune all that up too, not take them down. Yeah, you really can't see it from that one.
Yeah, we do have a shot of that one.
Yeah, I know. Elaine had that from last week. I know she did.
So the idea is that you would take down 6 live trees. So under a policy, they would have to be either replaced or a payment would have to be made, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, if that's, go ahead, Bob.
there's a few different options in the tree policy, and if you don't have it, we can get it to you. Replace with shrubs or other trees, or again, the policy outlines exactly what the options are.
Okay. I mean, does it necessarily have to be trees? Could it be other vegetation in the back?
There's options for shrubs or other type of bushes or things of that nature.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Elena or Rebecca, can you get the tree policy over to Matt? It's actually on the website, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Didn't know.
And then should submit a suggested replanting and the kinds of things he wants to do to either Elaine or Rebecca.
Yeah, could Rebecca or Elaine work with Matt to maybe choose some options or locations or whatever that would make sense?
Of course.
All right, is there anything else on this?
Nothing from me.
Do we want
Yeah, I
to take a
was sad.
vote? We can take a vote to approve the removal of those 6 trees and replacement following the tree replacement policy. Somebody like to make a motion?
This is Peter. I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Ken? Yes. Silvana?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Teresa?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Jimmy?
yes.
And I vote yes. All right, Matt, so either Rebecca or Elaine can work with you on the tree replacement. And I guess that's it.
All right, great. All right, well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And I'll be in touch with Rebecca or Elaine.
All right, thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good evening.
Great.
All right. Anything else, Elaine or Rebecca?
We have open space coming up. I got a Zoom information for that meeting on the 22nd.
Yes.
Okay, so it'll be quick, just a place to start. Because we're gonna try to start working on that open space plan. Contacted MAPC a few different times about getting an estimate on them preparing it. I haven't heard back. I don't have a ton of luck, but I think Judy found that some other towns used a different consultant, so we can entertain that idea in the event that we don't hear back in time from MAPC and we want to get started.
Did you send the Zoom invitation for that meeting, Rebecca?
Nope, I just received it from Sherry. I haven't sent it to you guys yet.
Okay. And who is that? Just with who is that with, Rebecca?
So it'll be not advertised in the newspaper. It'll be posted at the town hall. So within 48 hours of the meeting. So anybody who wants to, anyone from the public that would like to attend certainly is welcome to attend.
So I'm saying this is a special meeting of the Conservation Commission?
Yes.
Okay.
I sent you the open space plans. So if you have any ideas, anything, for that night, that would be great.
So who's going to lead the discussion on that?
Rebecca.
Judy.
It's not gonna be a long meeting, just so we can get an idea of what you're looking at. Because we have to get this up and running. It just keeps getting stalled, keeps getting pushed in the background, and it needs to get started.
Yeah.
And even just discussing what the process is going to be to do that.
Right, so everyone should really try to be there.
And you all have the material that I sent you a couple weeks ago. Jimmy, I'm talking to you.
What? You're talking to me.
I said, you all have the material I sent you a couple of weeks ago.
Judy, you should resend it Monday night.
Okay.
Are there any specific sections or areas we should focus on or kind of look into closer?
If you
Like,
want
is
to
anything going to kind of be copied over that, you guys, that won't be touched? As part of
yeah, all of the historical stuff, the topography, all that stuff will just be cut and paste in. But
Okay.
it's the parcels of interest. I'll send you a couple of snippets from other towns to see what they did. Burlington did a good job on theirs. They had a couple of good things we could look at.
Yeah, you sent North Readings, I think.
What's that?
You sent North Readings over as well.
Yes, I'll send the snippets from Burlington. I'll send you another package.
What's
But
the date of that again?
Is what? I'm sorry.
The date of the meeting?
The 22nd.
At 7, is that right?
Yes. There's a new component now, environmental justice area. So Rebecca and I have a couple of ideas for that as well.
And this is just information only, or will we be voting?
No,
It's for
it's
educational
informational, but it's to get the ball rolling for the open space plan. So anything you have would be great. And all of the town-owned parcels you can look at on the assessor's maps. So there are a couple of parcels down off of Charles Street that might be something we could possibly do something with in terms of educational kiosks, things like that. So it might be worth looking at a couple of the parcels and then maybe taking a drive by to see what they look like. The town forest, that's another thing that should be pretty much the center of this. Focus on the Golden Hills ACEC. You could take a look at that as well. You've got a lot of homework ahead of you.
Keep in mind, lots of water quality language is going to be different now that we're a Class A on the lake.
This coming Monday, the town council has invited us to be at their meeting. Rebecca and/or Elaine, can you put together our year-to-date stats for everything, NRADs, COCs, everything that we've done so far, just stats for that. And maybe just a list of all the current hearings that are open still, maybe.
What are they asking you to come in for?
They didn't actually say we need to do a presentation.
Okay.
You do need to do a presentation. Every other board does a presentation. I'm requiring it. They want an overview of what you're working on, what project, just to get an idea of what's happening with each.
Well, that's why I said if we had a list of everything.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be in PowerPoint form, does it?
It looks nicer.
It does.
Judy, did you see what other boards have submitted? Either.
Yes.
Okay. Are they looking for just the list of projects, or are they looking for when you review a project, here are some of the things we look for?
Both. I mean, they go over the projects that they've reviewed and how they've applied, like the subdivision regulations or the ZBA. They talk about the intricacies there.
Okay.
So it's kind of like an inside view of the filings.
All right, so pick a file that's got a lot of interesting things about it, and then maybe they could use that as an example. For instance, here we required these plantings, here we required them to move this, here we did that kind of stuff.
Right. And
Any
maybe
ideas?
something like the pickleball court and the pathway, something that is everyone recognizes. And like the area that you came up with, the planting area, the native plant.
No, we don't want to do that one. We got superseded.
Yeah.
Although it was good.
Have we presented before in some kind of format?
No.
No.
Jimmy has.
Do a meeting on the common and we just, spoke to what we have done so far that year.
But maybe you could have have what the filings are that have been done, and then kind of segue into what you would like to do about increasing native plantings, the tree replacement plan, how that's come into play a lot. And it's been effective.
Tree removal and your 25 no disturb, maybe talk about those.
Right.
How you
Different-
okay.
Different ways that you're protecting, not just the specific filings, but different approaches you're using to protect, enhance, the native plantings, the trying to preserve trees.
So this is this Monday night?
Yes.
Yes.
Does not give us much time to prepare.
What about open space, Judy? Do you think they should mention that they're starting to work on that? Did you say no?
No.
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 Okay.
I don't think so.
So loss of open space in this town is really a pretty major issue.
Right. And that's why it's important to get the open space plan up and running. Because if we wait for the Vision 2030, it could be another 2 years before they're. That's why if we can get things rolling, get the survey going, things like that, the required elements, get that out of the way, then that's a big portion of it. So we're ahead, so we can start ahead with the game.
Not to get too far ahead of this, as you're saying, but did you run across any surveys that you know of in any other documents? Because that was one of the things that MAPC was going to prepare as part of their proposal, right? Is that survey of what the community is looking for. If we were to do that ourselves, is there like some type of model, or have you seen anything prepared already? I know we have one that they did a long time. Was it Survey Monkey a while ago?
It was, yeah, I think Burlington had one.
And then we can
I'll take a
compare
look.
it. Didn't Vision 2030 have one as well?
Yeah, it
Different focus maybe? And I don't
It
know
was
when
a
that
different
started.
focus.
Okay.
It was more narrowly aimed at answers, I felt.
Got it.
I think the open space should be a broader perspective.
Who's preparing the presentation and who's going to be appearing?
Jimmy?
We're hoping-
Wait a minute.
We're hoping Rebecca and Elaine can put something together.
Okay. All right, we'll brainstorm.
What about
Right,
the tree
Elaine?
policy? The tree policy seems to be the most simplest and straightforward since we amended it. I would suggest that. Or no?
Yeah, I think talk on the tree policy, talk on the no disturb zone, why that's valuable.
Yeah.
How that works within the current regulations, you could do that. And then, you could even mention that you've had the presentation on the phytoremediation and trying to expand and see how that could fit into any designs that come forward. Maybe they haven't ever
What
heard.
kind of remediation did you say, Rebecca?
Oh, I said phytoremediation. So
The
when we had
dark sky-
offshoots, the
Dark sky
plants,
station.
sorry, yep.
Or even the light as well.
Talking about you guys investigating different situations with light. Is that what you said, Ken?
Yeah, we had
No,
a presentation, Rebecca, on light. I don't know when lighting, I don't know when that was.
Before me,
Before you came back, yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right, we can put that in there.
Is there any kind of framework MACC kind of has for this type of thing that you could steal from them? Or
I don't
ask
think so.
them?
I don't think so.
Was this the first time that conservation has ever done it?
Via Zoom and a presentation, yes.
Oh, yeah. So, oh, wow. What about others? If there's like Ken said, if there's a template that we could follow.
So ZBA is invited to this. And who else is invited to this with us? I forget.
Planning board, isn't it?
Yeah. Planning board, ZBA, and us will all three be there on Monday.
We could try to pick a project to show as well that has some of these topics. We could discuss how you implemented those and why and whatnot.
So people for a question of how does the ZBA work with the Conservation Commission and vice versa?
Well, the one I went to, they were suggesting that we work with the planning board. That's why we came up with having the meeting with them on Stock Ave. That was the reason behind that.
Right,
Just
and
that
they've been,
they
that
seem
was
to-
mentioned at the planning board meeting this week,
Yeah, I heard that too.
that the planning board has been trying to get that, but since the applicant hasn't filed with conservation,
Yeah. Yeah,
so that's kind of a roadblock.
Do you guys want to talk about the Zone A?
around the lake.
Yeah, probably mention it and you could certainly say that.
You
as
know,
this
that
is-
might be, yeah. I mean, that might be a topic that perks everyone up.
I mean, okay,
And we'll be until midnight.
have fun with this.
Judy, how long are we talking should this be? Like 10
Right,
minutes?
exactly.
I don't think it's gonna be that. I mean, the ZBA and planning board usually make, maybe a 10-minute presentation, and then the town council is asked a couple of questions.
Yeah.
It doesn't go on very long. It's more like a
No.
skeleton overview of things.
Jimmy, I remember when we appeared on the
Common.
Common. Do you remember?
Yeah, me, you and Elaine and Bob
Right.
on the common. And then I guess I did one at a Zoom meeting with town council. That's it. Glad that's all it is. That's a lot to talk about.
That
It
is.
I mean, I would pick the topics that would be most interesting to town council.
I mean, I think the stats are critical, right?
Yeah, it shows them that we've done something.
Yeah.
Very busy.
Good job.
All right.
Yeah.
We do want our increases this year, right? We're not
Yeah.
here-
Everyone gets a raise.
Except me.
I was gonna say that.
Again,
You and, yeah,
again.
the ones that are doing all the work don't get any money, but
Yeah, funny how that works.
yeah.
So what we could do is, Jimmy, both you and I could
Yeah,
do this together. I could operate the PowerPoint and
that'd be a good
I know,
idea.
I think Jim should operate the PowerPoint.
All right.
So
All
why
right.
not do why not do list of stats? And then you can do a brief overview about, new to everyone is the Zone A regulations. Do a quick thing on that, and then maybe the tree policy, keep it simple.
Yeah,
Or
Well-
cut out the tree policy and talk about how you push to get more of the 25-foot buffer and replication using native plantings.
yeah,
Something that they can relate to. Something that
Yeah.
everyone in every neighborhood can relate to.
yeah.
And you need this by Monday night?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
How much advance notice did you get about it, Bob? And
It wasn't much, wasn't it? 2 weeks?
yeah.
so can I
We've
ask,
had, we've had
I hope
discussions.
you weren't trying to, I hope you weren't trying to say something about our sluggishness in doing this.
not at all.
So wait, how long will we be talking? How long is this? This is on Monday night and the two of you are gonna go do it and then, and how long, how long are they expecting you to speak for? Like 10 minutes or?
We just covered that, Peter.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
They kind of rushed me right through it last time. It was not long at all. I think they were glad to get rid of us.
When we were on the common, they were glad to get rid of us. It took
Yeah, yeah, that went fairly quickly too.
very fast.
Yeah,
And we got coverage and my name was listed in the item. It was big news, big news.
wow,
So was yours. I mean, the fact we made the
Lucky.
item, we don't normally make the item.
yeah, true.
There was a picture of us too.
Exactly. It was crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
You guys are celebrities.
Rock stars.
15 minutes of fame.
Oh, yeah.
Question, did you get a paper copy of the filing for tonight?
I have them, and I take full responsibility for you guys not having them for this meeting, because that is absolutely my fault. I did not get them out to you.
Hey, did we ever find out more information on what the deal was on Butler? I'm sorry. And now I'm gonna say again.
On Butler Ave, where,
They bought that piece of property that was disputed.
well, what's happening is that they're gonna cap it off. They're not gonna take out the asbestos, it's just gonna cap it.
And then it's gonna remain undeveloped then, right?
It's gonna be, the town's gonna hang on to it. They're gonna do, I don't know, what did he say, Rebecca?
Well, that's
Plant some grass?
postponed. It was supposed to be on tonight. It's postponed till next.
Postponed, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think Bill wants to just explain their whole concept of how they want to do this
Okay.
and see if we're in agreement with them.
Jim,
But it's not,
can you bring those
I
hard
don't,
copies of that filing to our site visit?
I could, and I can bring a second one too now, right?
Can you do that for me?
I will,
Thank
if you want to go for breakfast.
It's at 6 o'clock.
Oh, it's 6 p.m. now.
Exactly.
Never too late for breakfast.
Right.
Okay.
So back to this presentation thing. So we'll need time to kind of talk about it, review it. If we need to make any edits.
there won't be any edits necessary, don't worry.
Not a production, we don't have to dress up.
Take it as
or-
is. Jim's gonna wing it. That's what he does best.
Right. Whatever comes to my mind, that's what's gonna happen.
That's right.
You're the historical source.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, it's true.
All right.
Are we done?
How
Is
long
that-
do we
is that
think,
it?
how long will it take to put this thing together? Rebecca? What do you think?
I guess it
Gonna
depends
be
on
working
what kind
overtime.
of job I do. I can probably work on it. I mean, I will work on it. I'll get it to you before Monday. So you can look at it on Monday. Does that work?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
All right. Maybe tomorrow, but it likely if I do it tomorrow, it probably won't be to the until late afternoon because I have an early morning commitment. It's very
Yeah.
important. Very important. I play tennis.
Yeah, oh, wow.
So is there a
yeah,
link that we can participate, like, just be hearing?
to
all that?
watch?
Yeah, it's
It's
in the
on-
paper.
It's on the web?
It's
It's
in
on the
paper.
cable, it's on the cable channel too. It's on WCAT, so you can watch them live.
How?
Get out.
How?
That's,
Just an FYI, the planning board voted favorably to move the stream setback repeal onto the town meeting.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so it'd
good.
be good to have a lot of participation.
And when is town meeting again?
Monday, May 9th.
Okay, definitely have to attend that.
We're all here. Does anyone have any regulatory questions since we're all sitting here? Anything anybody ever wanted to ask but didn't want to ask?
I know Elaine mentioned looking into the Class A stuff more, but have you looked into it at all or have anything to bring up or?
I mean, a little bit. So Lake Quannapowitt is the outstanding resource water because it's tributary to the water source. And then from that, you get a zone A. So you have, depending if it's a tributary or not, it's the either 200 or 400 lateral feet from that. And what ends up happening, I think how this is going to come into play, the biggest part is stormwater. So one of the stormwater standards says that you can't discharge to a zone A. I mean, that's pretty significant if that's all the way around the lake. That covers a lot.
I think that.
So how does that affect current
Yeah, is that
discharge?
grandfathered or?
So I'm under the assumption that it's grandfathered. I don't know enough about it, but I would assume that because that seems to be the way things work. These regulations had been out before, but they hadn't classified this section of the Saugus River and Lake Quannapowitt before November of 2021. So when those new regulations came out and they have a chart in them and it says, for the Saugus River, from the source to the dam, or is it Class A? So that's where all of this came from. And as a matter of fact, we didn't really know very much about it until the Vets Field filing when DEP appealed it based on the fact that they didn't end up having to meet the regulations because to meet those new regulations because at the time, although they were discussing it, that hadn't been promulgated, I guess. So anyway, so I had never heard of it until then. So it's sort of new. Like I said, I think you mostly see it under stormwater management standards when they talk about discharging to a critical area. Other than that, Elaine, you know a lot about it as well.
Has Bill Renault, I know he knows about it, but
Yep.
Have
think
they
he's getting his head
discussed
around
it? He's getting his head around it.
Yeah, because I think he had a lot of projects in mind around the lake that will likely he will not be able to implement them.
Right.
That's how I'm reading it right now.
So anything filed from November 21 on, this is in effect for?
Yes.
Well, I think that's we talk things that you, Bob, that you and Jim, I talk about on Monday. I don't want to sound, I guess, I think it's important when we go over these like things about trees and more vigorous enforcement of the 25-foot buffer zone. But I think that I don't want it to be perceived that we're we deal with, these piecemeal small matters. I think that this is a bigger, this is it, looking at the big picture, this is a potentially significant big development. And I think that might be the just in terms of what's interesting. Just my 2 cents that actually is pretty, you're saying that could actually far-reaching implications.
It seems that way. That's the way I look at it right now. Again, not something I'm familiar with.
Okay.
Because all of my time here, it hasn't been that way, but
I'm proud of the stuff we do on these smaller things. That's fine. But I just don't know how interesting others would perceive it.
mhm.
And then I'm trying to think of, as you say, read the room and the audience, what's interesting.
Yeah.
Do we have enough information on that to, I guess, talk intelligently about it? I mean, we don't know truly the impact of, we don't know for sure that there's 100% grandfathered clause there, right? We don't know that for sure.
I mean, I haven't had that conversation, but that's typically how the regulations work, right? We just,
What if somebody needed to go back and do work in a previous area,
Mhm.
an old filing, had to get, the work had to get done. Are they subject to the new rules or not?
I think so, yeah.
So like,
Anything new, yeah.
what do you call it? The hotel, for instance, they need to do some work
Yeah.
or that we've already pre-approved before, the pruning or whatever else. They need to go back and do some more of that. Do they now fall into the new rules?
I would assume so.
All these stormwater improvements they're talking about for the storm drains around the lake,
Mhm.
how is this going to impact those potential projects?
It impacts them a lot.
Yeah, because right now they're all discharging into the lake, but we're talking
treated.
about, they're talking about treating it now, potentially some of them, but we don't know what it's going to look like now.
No, and I don't really have a great answer. I don't think I know 100% and exactly what this is going to look like when you go through that process.
Yeah, and that's my concern about talking about something like this when we have so many questions ourselves.
Yeah.
We'd have to be pretty vague.
Not only that, but if you look at like Mass Mapper, so you can add the layer of Zone A on Mass Mapper. And then one of the things, like there is some ZBA comments that they asked for on a project that'll be on North Ave, and we will see this eventually. But then when you look at the project, and I was looking it over with Bill Renault, you can see that some of this discharges into North Ave. North Ave goes, there's an inlet and it goes through a drain pipe down Willard and discharges to Lake Quannapowitt. Well, apparently, according to Bill, that used to be a stream that got piped in. So now the question becomes, that's not shown on Mass Mapper as part of this Zone A, but does that become part of Zone A? I don't know that answer.
Yeah.
So there's certainly some details that need to be sorted.
Yeah, even simpler, say they have to replace a storm drain on Main Street that discharges into the lake now. What happens? If that thing collapses, now what do they have to do? They can't directly discharge into the lake anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
And-
I think
and
this
what
is
are your
why,
options?
yeah. Well, they ended up moving that retention basin from away from the lake.
Right.
The one that was down there, they moved
The
it.
tennis court.
Yeah.
Pickleball courts you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, one storm drain that goes into the lake now, it collapses or whatever. We don't know what the impact is there.
Yeah.
But is it
Reroute that?
I guess the question is though, if you're, is it wise not to talk about it until we know more, or is it wise to say that there's a lot we don't know, but we wanted to give people a heads up that this potentially could have far-reaching implications, and so that if something does come up in a few months or a year, that people don't feel totally sandbagged.
I mean, we could preface it with, hey, this is a new regulation that you don't have all the answers to, but
Yeah.
It's worth saying now and not completely being blind, and then it comes up and they say, oh, didn't you guys know about this?
Mm.
Been on the
That's all-
book since November.
Yeah, I like the idea of just saying it. And I think it's fair to say that you have these it's one thing to read these regulations, which were not drafted with, Wakefield with Lake Quannapowitt in mind, and then to sort of understand what does it mean as a practical matter, given the facts and circumstances of our lake. It's fair not to be able to immediately understand what all the implications are, but to appreciate that they could be substantial.
Did you send the actual regulations that govern this?
Yeah, so how it works is there are surface water regulations and there are drinking water regulations. And of course, there's our wetland regulations. And our wetland regulations reference outstanding resource waters and zone A's. Now, those are defined in the other regulations. So you see what I'm saying? So that's how we
The
get.
designation of zone A is new, for us is new.
Yes, and the outstanding resource water, the class, all of that stuff that is linked back to us through the stormwater management standards, right? That because it says in there somewhere that it says a critical area as defined in 314.4 and 310.22, whatever there's something like that. I could read it if you want me to get it. And so in order to look up those definitions, you refer to those other sets of regulations.
Right.
And so the thing is, who else uses these regulations? I mean, there's a lot more in it than zone A and outstanding resource waters. There's a lot of TMDLs. There's tons of stuff in there. I don't know who that's applicable to. I just know it's not us.
Right.
So as far as zone A and what we do know, we just know that this complicates stormwater management. And that's the language I can get to you by Monday or Sunday or whatever it might be. This is how we would work with this. Other entities, I'm not really sure. I don't know what Bill's going to do.
Rebecca, I think you came on late, but on our first project tonight, Elaine was talking about this. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Talking about whether or not that's, yes, I heard it. All right.
So just as another layer, Rebecca, there's actually new surface water quality standards promulgated in January.
I wonder if they're the same ones, but they were approved.
I haven't gone through them, but
Yeah.
I will.
Okay.
Corrections and amendments. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the difference is, but I definitely got an email from DEP about it.
Is that a 310.22 or 314.4 or what's that one?
314.4.
314.4. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever. I mean,
Because I mean, as is now, it obviously doesn't list us, as being classified as A. And part of 314.4 is, it has all the maps and all the tables showing every area and what's applicable.
I think it is in there.
Oh, is it?
So
Okay.
it says, yeah. So what is it? North coastal drainage. If you go to the table that says I think that's what it is, north coastal drainage. And then it says the source to the dam. And it talks about tributaries. And so the source to the dam is the Class A water and also an outstanding resource water. So do you have that table there? I don't have it in front of me. I'm trying to do it by memory. But in any event, I have an email from DEP that talks about that new table, and it says, therefore, Lake Quannapowitt is an outstanding resource water.
Oh, okay.
I can send that to you.
Oh, no worries. I'll skim through them.
But if you look in the north coastal drainage basin,
it's not the Boston Harbor.
no.
Well, Boston Harbor drainage. Okay, I'll take a look.
Do you have it?
I don't want to derail the conversation.
Well, now I'm thinking about it. What are you talking about? We derail all the time. I don't have it handy.
Judy, you called me 37 minutes ago. I just noticed. Did you intend to call me 37 minutes ago, or was it an accident?
Who?
You. I got a missed phone call from you 37
Yeah, no, that was an
minutes.
accident. That was an accident.
Any other questions? That was a great
Glad it
time.
wasn't important. All right.
That
Is
it?
that it? That's it for
All right,
tonight?
so Rebecca, you're gonna put something together for us.
Sounds
Um,
like it.
Jimmy, we'll need to get together when we see it and review and talk and,
Yeah.
All right, I'll try to do it tomorrow.
okay.
So would it be good for people to show up even if we're not talking? I don't know if I can or not, but,
What time will it be? 7?
7 o'clock Monday night.
And where?
Zoom.
Zoom.
Oh,
meeting.
Zoom. Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
All right, anything else from anybody?
Oh, I can tell you something, but I won't keep it for long. MACC had a workshop today that had 2 DEP analysts on it, and they discussed the redevelopment standards in a riverfront. I'm gonna try to get the transcript. I can try to forward that to you guys.
Mhm.
I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
good stuff.
Confusing. And it talks a
I-
little bit about interpretations of what different things meant. It was confusing. I'll send you guys that if I can get it. I assume I can get a transcript. That's all I got.
Okay.
Judy, Bruins just won 4-3.
Yep, Pasternak had a goal with 17 seconds left. I can multitask.
What makes you think Judy doesn't know that already?
I thought my alert may have come through my phone before her alert.
I'm watching it
Rebecca?
live, so that's the difference.
Rebecca
Right.
found his source to the Saugus River Dam. I got it.
Yeah, that table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So according to DEP, and like I said, I'm happy to forward you that email. She writes in there the statement that was just very clear. Lake Quantapowhat is an outstanding resource water. It's a Class A. Okay.
Thank you.
Frank, you got one more meeting with us?
I think it goes through April. if I'm not
Okay,
mistaken.
so we got at least 3 more.
Yes,
Okay.
and maybe a site visit.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll have to do something together.
Yeah, we absolutely have to, yeah.
How
Definitely.
long have you been on the commission, Frank?
I think it's just about 20 years.
Wow.
And I still
Wow.
consider myself new to a lot of the folks on the commission, so. I mean, Bob was here before me, Jim was, Teresa was, but then wasn't.
Right.
I replaced Teresa
Oh.
in 1999.
Frank, I'm thinking that I certainly would like to have a martini with you at Artichokes as part of this process.
Always up for that.
What's the matter with the gin and tonic?
We should plan on doing something like that.
Yeah, we
Yes.
should.
We will.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Well-
timed it perfectly, so COVID would be over by the time.
That's right. Well, that's right.
Good
Let's
job.
So we
just
can
cross
eat,
our
Frank.
fingers. That
Right.
somebody false alarms, but let's cross our fingers that we can safely jam into a booth at
Yeah, why don't we,
Jokes.
why don't we go out and have something to eat as well?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's
What
kind
part
of,
about artichokes?
Yep. And I understand you're in capable hands with Paul, right? Is that correct, Paul?
Where's Paul?
Paul's there.
in
I
the
haven't
middle
heard
of the
anything
Hollywood
one way or
Squares.
the other.
Okay. When I talked to Sherry, I believe you were in the queue for a voting position if one had opened up.
Okay,
So I would say reach out to Sherry and confirm that.
okay. I will.
Because I'm not,
Thanks.
at that meeting, they may be actually appointing commissioners, right? I would suspect that
I
Monday's
don't
meeting.
think so.
Not
No,
yet, okay.
I think they do at the end of, it might be their first meeting in April.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? If not,
But it-
somebody like to make a motion to close.
Motion.
Adjourn.
Second,
Denied.
All right, all in favor? Ken,
Yes.
Savannah,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Teresa,
yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Jimmy,
Yeah.
and I also vote to adjourn. All right, good night, everybody, and Rebecca and Jimmy will be in touch.